congratulations on the new post. What's your thinking behind taking it? Obviously a short-term one until the end of the season with potential long-term after that. What's your thinking in the immediate days?
My thinking is I want to get back to work first and foremost, and I'm delighted to be able to do that. It's a club as big and as good as Cardiff City. And taking it to the end of the season, you know, I think clubs, well, I guess I know they're all suffering a little bit. And I think managers leaving and coming in and signing another 2 years, 3-year contract. I'm quite cool with it. And if I earn a longer term deal, then good for me. If I don't, then it's my fault.
Build on that point you made there, Mick, about, you know, signing short-term deal, but, you know, is there potential to sign a longer deal if things were to work out well for the rest of this season?
Yeah, of course. I guess I've got to earn that long-term deal with my performance and the performance of the players, because that's ultimately my job, to get them to play and to win games and see where we can what we can do this season. And if it's done well and successful, then yes, there is of course an opportunity for a longer-term deal.
And obviously things haven't gone to plan so far this season. What do you think this group of players is capable of for the rest of this season?
Well, I guess I tell you, the first thing I did when I got a call that, you know, I can speak to the club about this job, I had a look at the squad like I think most managers, coaches would do. And I looked and I thought, wow, yeah, they've got some good players, a good squad. I watched them play against Nottingham Forest. I was doing a co-commentary while I was out of work. And I was very impressed. Played really well up there, won the game. And so I'm thinking there's an opportunity here with good players. And I've said to them, I don't know what's gone wrong, but you can't lay the blame at any one person's door, because Neil Harris last year we were in the playoffs and everything's great, and he's a great manager and he does really well. So where does it all go wrong? I don't know. Can we blame COVID? Can we blame somebody else, or shall we all look at ourselves individually and try and accept responsibility and try and improve on the results? It's been a bit of an inconsistent one where I think they've won 4 on the bounce and then they've gone and lost a few on the bounce. So can we create a bit of consistency?
Because if you look at some of your predecessors, you know, Neil Harris, like you mentioned, had that immediate effect, getting him into the playoffs. Neil Warnock before that survived, first of all, and then got promoted in his first full season.
Yeah.
Do you think long term yet, or is it just a matter of seeing what you can do this season, first of all?
I've got to plan for long term, haven't I? I plan for long term in the fact that I want to win games and finish as high up in the league as I can. And everybody says, well, you need to be giving MICK McCARTHY and TC a new contract and keep them here because things are looking positive and we want to progress with them. So that's up to me. But you want to win games, no matter what happens as a manager, as an ex-football player, I want to win games, and that is good for me and that is good for the club, and that can only benefit everybody. I'm not sat here worried. You know, maybe when we do well and the club doesn't offer me a new contract, well, so be it. I want us to do well while I'm here for however long that might be.
And we know you've got a proven track record, particularly at this level. You know, you've won promotion to the Premier League with Sunderland and Wolves. Yes. You know, sustained success at this level. Even with that in mind, fans these days, you know, there's no telling what their reactions will be, and it's been mixed. How do you take any notice of that, first of all, and what can you do to win them round?
Well, look, everybody's entitled to an opinion, and I'm sure that if you asked every Cardiff City supporter, you get a long list of people that they would like to employ, and maybe a lot of them in front of me. I can't do anything about that. The club have entrusted the job with me to try and improve them. Somebody who's got a lot of experience in this league and had sustained success at it. And maybe that's what they're thinking. And if that is for a long period of time or a short period of time, I'm not interested in that. I just want to come in and enjoy these 22 games and do as well as I possibly can. And then hopefully the ones who didn't want me in here might be saying, you know what, fair play to the club, it was a good decision and we want to keep Mick. And if it's the opposite way around, then I'll leave and they can pick somebody else, you know. But if you form a committee to design a horse, you get a camel anyway. So somebody's got to make the decision, and that's what they've made. They're going to have to get on with it, aren't they?
And you get straight to work. Of course, busy time of the season. The transfer window's open. Have you spoken to the owner, Vincent Tan, about that? Will you get money to spend, or are you very much working with the group that you've got?
I haven't spoken to him about that. I think when you bear in mind, it was only completed yesterday and had my first training session this morning, that, you know, certain things, that's putting the cart before the horse. I've got to come in and see what players I've got and train with them and see what tune I can get out of these that are here. And then we'll discuss that when I've been in a few more days.
And you mentioned you took training today. Is it nice to get straight back into work so soon after your last job?
Absolutely, yeah. And into an environment that I know better, -2 and frost on the ground, and wearing woolly hat and gloves and a big coat. So they were saying it was cold, but I wasn't born in a very warm place. I come from Barnsley, so I'm fairly accustomed to the weather.
Yeah, and you speak of Barnsley there. That's the first game, of course, away next week. It's funny how things work out like that.
It is. And then Millwall the next game, where I was the first manager. But let me just, for anybody that might think different, I have it's my hometown club and I love where I come from, but I've got no affinity to any other team than Cardiff City now at the moment.
And just finally as well, with your last job in Cyprus, you know, we've come accustomed to you being at places a very long time. You know, we think of Ipswich and Sunderland and Ireland before that. What was it? What went wrong there, and how much are you looking forward to getting back to something you know better? You know, the Championship and British football.
Well, look, it didn't work out, and whether that's through me or not, I can run through I'm not so sure it's a litany of excuses. The fact that we had 19 players who had COVID-19, and that was from the 8th of December. They went through to the 23rd before they could train. And then when they came back and trained, we had a game on the 28th, the 2nd, the 5th, and we lost them all. Whether that was down to COVID, whether that's down to me and TC, I have no idea, but it didn't work. And so it's the first time ever that's happened. And I was disappointed that it ended that way, but I'm looking forward to this challenge now. And that doesn't have any bearing on my experience, my work in the Championship.
Yeah, of course, you're a Gymru. Welcome to Wales. Listen, you're a fellow Celt. What's it like managing a Welsh club? Because we're a funny bunch, but we're very, very passionate.
You said you were a funny bunch. That wasn't me. Can we just clear that up? But I'm all right with funny bunches because I kind of come from a funny bunch myself, if that's the case. And I can sort of place myself anywhere. You know, I've had to do over my time. So I've been, you know, Millwall, South East London, when I've come from a Yorkshire background, and I managed in Ireland, I managed in Sunderland, I managed in Wolves and Ipswich, and I've managed to be able to settle and manage and have a fair bit of success wherever I've been. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case here in Cardiff, because I have to say I've been knocked out by, I know I've been in the stadium, but I've never been in, usually just go into the visiting dressing room, see the pitch, take no notice of it. What an amazing ground it is, and the training ground. And I've been surprised that throughout my career, nobody's once said to me, hey, wow, you should see Cardiff City's ground. You should see the facilities they've got at the training ground. I've just been knocked out by it. It's amazing. And it, you know, you do hear that. You hear that from somewhere, you'll say, hey, what about Sunderland's training ground? It's incredible. Or what about this other? Oh, yeah, never heard it. And it's brilliant. I'm just really delighted.
Well, we like surprising people. But listen, you're 61 years old. Most people would be looking maybe to retire in the south of France. But there's something about football, isn't there? The older you get, you become more kind of wanted, and you have all that experience. Is it something that you're motivated to kind of keep on going, because you've been in football for a long time?
I have been a long time, yeah, but I still have that desire and that energy and that work rate to be employed and trying to get the best out of people. Yeah, 61. It sounds old. Warnock, 71. I just reminded on that one. He's 10 years older than me, and he's still going strong. So maybe I've got Neil in my sights. And if I can be half as successful as he was, then I'd be delighted.
Yeah, we've had another Yorkshireman in Cardiff. What's different about you? Because people will wonder what your philosophy is coming into Cardiff. What do you hope that you can bring, and what can the fans look forward to?
You know, we're all different. I guess what you try and bring in is that experience that I've had, my knowledge, my coaching ability, TC as well. Terry, who's an excellent assistant, and he brings a hell of a lot to the party, that's for sure, in terms of strikers, and he's an excellent striker coach. There's no one thing. You bring in your personality, your experience, your knowledge, and I hope that I can galvanise what seems to be, a squad that's just, not achieving what they should be. And it's very difficult when we start talking about it, because it always appears to be going back to Neil, but I've already complimented Neil. Neil got to the playoffs when it seemed unlikely. And why it goes wrong, I don't know. I think everybody, I've said to the players this morning, everybody has to have a look around and accept a bit of responsibility, and not, my patch is dry. We've got to shut the manager, we'll have another go. It's each and every one of us.
Mick, when you look at the Cardiff squad, there's players here littered with Premier League experience. Leandra Bacuna, Junior Highlight, Joe Bennett, Josh Murphy, Harry Wilson. And then you look at the two Irish players that you probably know well, Greg Cunningham and Alex Smithy. So that's probably going to be the core, I suppose, of your team for the rest of the season.
You just pick my team for me. I'll go home. Maybe you should be sat here, eh? As I said to one of the other questions I asked when I get the call, would I be interested in this to the end of the season? The first thing, I've seen them play. I saw them play against Nottingham Forest, and I was impressed that day. But I just looked at the squad. Easy get it up on my laptop, and I was impressed by what I saw and the players that we have. I said it's not one person's fault, but I've now got to try and get a tune out of the players and try and get them to improve. And hopefully we can. And I do think we've got the quality to do it.
And Mick, Cardiff is a big, massive club, a massive fan base as well. So there's huge potential in Cardiff City. And obviously, hopefully when this situation gets raised, hopefully the supporters can come back into the stadium. But for a club like Cardiff to be marooned in mid-table, 13 points off the playoffs, 9 points above relegation, I suppose, have you given any targets towards the end of the season? Is playoffs, or is that try and sneak into the playoffs? Is that one of your main goals?
That would be nice, wouldn't it? I've had a very brief meeting with the players this morning. I wanted to see them train, because me talking to them, I can assure you, I've been in enough of those meetings to know that players have heard loads of that chat, and all they want to do is train, and I can learn more about them when we're training and see where we're at. We will attempt to win the game against Barnsley on Wednesday night. I think we've got to start there. And then if we can start picking up points, when we start picking up points, we can set targets. But we've got to start picking up points first. To come in and say on the back of the defeats that we've just had and why I'm here, right, the target is now the playoffs. Some of them might think, hold on a minute, is he gone off his rocker or what? I would like to start with a win on Wednesday, and then start and see if we can win at home against Millwall. Then we can start looking at thinking, if we do that, then maybe we can say it. So I think we've got to start and get back to basics and get winning games.
And I suppose lastly from me, Mick, in terms of Terry O'Connor, he's been with you throughout all your sort of coaching career, an excellent coach. And was it essential for you in taking on the Cardiff City job that Terry would be coming in with you?
Yeah, I just correct. It's not Terry O'Connor. I know he helped me in Ireland, but he didn't receive an O because of it. Terry Connor has been with me since 2008, I think, in Wolves. He was an integral part of that team, winning the championship and then playing in the Premier League. And he's been with me ever since, and he makes me better. He helps me to be better at my job, and we complement each other well. And so there was never in any doubt he was coming here with me, and I'm delighted to have him. And I can assure you, the players will benefit from having him here as well.
Best of luck, Mick. We're all cheering for you here in Ireland. I know that's for sure.
That's great. Thanks. I really appreciate the support. Thank you.
You talked there about the COVID situation over in Cyprus, and it sounds like it had a little bit of an effect with your time in Ireland as well. Is there any concerns with you taking over Cardiff right now? And I suppose with any team, that things can be taken out of your hands with the pandemic that's going on, and that what happens is kind of, it can be away from what you're doing and the good work you're doing on the training pitch.
I don't worry about it, no, because the things I can't affect, I try to change and affect the things I can affect, not the things that I can't. And I was going to say to the question prior to that about my job in Ireland and how it was affected. I mean, I was affected the fact that I couldn't finish a contract, and I've thankfully we've all been fit and well in my family, and I've had no real serious illness, and I'm not being made unemployed, or lost my mortgage, or lost a house, or I'd suffered in any way, shape or form like that, any of my family. So COVID is what it is, it's here. We're trying to adhere to the rules with me washing my hands and wearing my mask and behaving myself as everybody else tries to do. I can't worry about it because I can't. Well, I mean, the government can't really affect it. So if I'm not going to be able to make any effect against it, except just do the things that I can, and hopefully I stay safe. And if it does have an effect on football, then so be it. There's nothing I can do.
I think it was actually Neil Warnock who broke the news yesterday during his press conference that you'd taken the job.
Was it good old Warnock?
Yeah, I was on the press conference yesterday, and he said they were talking about obviously Neil Harris having left, and then he said, "Yeah, I've heard my good mate Mick McCarthy's got that job," and he was obviously welcoming you back, and said that it's a really good job for you after 6 months bronzing yourself in Cyprus. But is it that kind of like fun and that kind of humour that you look forward to getting back involved in the game over in these shores?
I'm not so sure about your humour, 6 months bronzing in Cyprus, to be quite honest, but because it was only just over 2 months, and they are in the winter there, so it was kind of nice. I've gone from 22 degrees to 2 degrees today, so there was a bit of a culture shock. But as I said to the other question, I was brought up in Barnsley, so I'm much of probably better acclimatised to this weather than I was the Cyprus weather. Did I miss that humour? I always do. I think whatever managers, coaches, when players finish, they miss that dressing room humour. That it can be very caustic at times, but it's still very funny. And I've known Neil for years. I've known him since I was 16. He always used to remind everybody I used to clean his boots when I was at Barnsley. And he's a great mate. But I'm looking. Have we got him to play? I don't know. I haven't seen those fixtures yet. So if we have, he wished me well, but not too well. He doesn't want me to finish above him.
Great stuff. Thanks, Mick. All the best.
I think a lot of the fans, of the talk from a lot of the fans recently has been about nailing down a style of football. What can you tell them about what your style of football will be, or what you hope to bring?
I like to win games, and I know that's. Isn't it interesting that all of a sudden you come in and change a new style of football? And I just wonder what. I look back at last year with Neil and winning games, and I think when they're winning games, nobody questions that. You know, that's the point. I mean, if we've got all the players that we can roll the ball out to them in the 18-yard box and pass it up the field and score goals, then yeah, we'll do it. If we have to play up to the front man and play off him, then we'll do it. And if we have to get balls wide and put crosses in the box, then that's what we'll do if we've got wingers and strikers that can score. And I do think me coming in, having 1 day's training with them with the 16 players, it's really hard to formulate a system that you're going to play with them. But I've looked at them and we have got some good footballers. And I think whatever you do, when you've got the ball down, you try your level best to pass the ball and keep hold of the ball and create chances. And when you haven't got it, you make sure you get back behind the ball and stop the opposition scoring. Me and my style of football is trying your level best to win the game. And I said that's by any way, but it is by passing the ball to one another, however it might be. And it makes me laugh because I look at Liverpool playing and they've been one of the best football teams ever, and yet they long balls behind the opposition, of fun, and suddenly they've found out teams playing against Liverpool, the ones that hit balls and they've got runners that can get in behind and win games. It just makes me laugh how everybody wants a certain style of football, and yet I think you have to play to the players that you've got. That's how I play. And if my players, what I've got, play to the best of their ability in how they can play, we will win games and we'll get up the league.
I know you've touched on it a little bit, Mick, but you've been in to see the players today. They're a group who Neil Harris previously said are quite low on confidence at the moment. I know you're quite renowned for your man management and your cajoling. What have you said to them today? I
had a very brief 2-minute with them because they don't want to listen to me coming and telling them what we're going to do. And telling them in a meeting is irrelevant for me. I wanted to get out on the grass, and then I've worked with them for an hour and a half today. And I wanted to see who is not very confident, who's the aggressive ones, who's the progressive ones, who are the ones who, is there any voices in the camp, who's the confident ones, who's the ones who need an arm around them and low in confidence. It seems to me there's a few of those, which is only normal when you're losing games. It's amazing what a couple of wins do and suddenly bring that confidence back. So it was, and I've had 2 or 3 or 4 individual chats. Certainly and I find that more productive than me stood preaching to players. And if you ever ask players in a meeting, has anybody got anything to say? Absolutely zero. Nobody asks the question. Nobody comes up with anything. So having quiet chats is preferable. And I'm just getting to get, I've been in here for how many hours? I'll get to know them. And I would imagine with playing Barnes, I'll know them all a lot better.
And what's Terry said about it all? I know we're getting a lot of your thoughts. I assume he's just as excited as he is and has a number of ideas as to how to improve it as well.
TC's absolutely thrilled to be back and back at this level, coaching in the league that we've done for a long time and know it really well. And he is an excellent coach. He's very diligent, very thoughtful on it, and just. I mean, we were both disappointed the way it ended in Nicosia, and for whatever reasons, at Apoel, and wish them well, by the way. But not to be coaching again was how disappointed he was. So when he got the call the other day, he was thrilled. I'm not so sure if he'd unpacked his bag, but he was certainly packed quick and get down here.
There's been a lot of work recently over the last 12, 18 months, I would say, on the academy structure. I think in these times, especially, clubs have got to be self-sustaining and bringing players through, which hasn't really happened a lot at Cardiff City the last few years. Have you had time to assess their academy structure just yet? And what's your sort of ethos and philosophy regarding that?
I think you know the answer to that question. Fair play for asking it, but no, I haven't. I met the guys. I met Steve Morrison and the coaches, and I met them, of course, in a socially distanced way in a frozen car park where they're having to come in and sit in cars. And I think the physio's putting strappings on in the boot of the car and completely just not right for them. And they come in and train and go home. So I've barely had a chance to speak to them. I met them and spoke to them all in the car park. I haven't seen the players. I haven't had a chance to assess it. I've barely had a chance to assess the first team squad, so forgive me for
that. I just wondered, I know you haven't exactly been sort of kicking your heels for very long in this gap, but I just wondered, what are you like when you're not managing, when you're sort of out of the game? What are you kind of, do you get bored easily? Do you feel kind of unfulfilled? What are you like when you haven't got a job?
Pleasant. I'm a lovely fella at home doing the washing and hoovering and sweeping up and doing that. I tell you what, during March and well, April, May, June, I was great because I was playing golf 3 times a week. So I was enjoying that. The sun was shining. But I was still missing it. And I kind of filled in a bit by doing co-commentaries, which, was great with Sky and TalkSport, which I really enjoyed, which kept my eye in and keep you watching games and still being able to go to them. But in doing that, you miss it all the more because you're all right sat up above commenting it, and you really want to be doing what I'm doing now. So, but it is what it is. I just try to keep busy, but always missed it.
Sam Allardyce has, since coming in at West Brom, he's spoken about, with the kind of obvious problems with social distancing and so on, he's found it more difficult to get the team spirit going because they're just basically not allowed to be in the same place at the same time as much.
Yes.
Is that something that you thought about? And if so, have you thought about how you might kind of get around that?
I just had a discussion with Sean Morrison, and I was asking him as the captain. I wanted his opinion on things, and along with other players. But it is difficult at the moment to have that normal crack, fun team spirit. You don't go into the dressing rooms and sit having a bit of banter. You're not in there talking about last night's game or the game that's coming up or somebody else's game. We come in, we go down to the marquee, we start training, you finish, you go home. That is difficult to create that. And I think when you're on the back of a few defeats, you need to have that chat with your mates. You need to be thrashing it out. You need to be discussing what you thought went wrong and how you can improve it. And it's difficult. And I agree with Sam. It's certainly it's something that I'm now learning. How we create that, I don't know. I mean, we travel on 2 coaches. Everybody's so far apart. We've all got face masks on. It really is difficult. So I guess the best time we can do that is to enjoy the training sessions and try and make those as good and as enjoyable as they can be, and have a bit of fun there and have a bit of crack and try and create the team spirit through that, because it's difficult off the pitch, believe me. I would imagine there'd be loads of clubs that would, in a spare week, the players would be saying, right, let's get together Monday night, Tuesday night, we'll go out and have a meal together, we'll have a couple of beers, have the chat, relax, and that really does help, that social gatherings. It's had great effect over the years. And I'm not talking about going out and getting langers drunk. I'm talking about having a bit of interaction with your teammates and enjoying a bit of fun.
When you took the Ireland job, that you thought that you might get a job in the Premier League after the Ireland job, if it was a success. You've got a job at Cardiff. They were once a Premier League club, so it's not a bad return, is it, in terms of the status in which you're coming back into British club management?
It is. I still don't know if you're on the meeting. I've just extolled the virtues of it, that nobody's ever said to me what a wonderful place it is. All I've done over the last so many years is come back and mainly battled it out with Neil and found it such a hard place to play and having good teams here. But nobody's actually told me how good a club it is. And I was in the stadium yesterday. I'm at the training ground today. I am honoured and delighted to be here, and hopefully I can make everybody else proud of me being here.